Hey, 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 it's your girl, your favorite paralegal, aka Cassandra Lynn, and welcome to Legal Doc Talk 24/7. Don't know if y'all heard, but hey, Kendrick Lamar and SZA's record label, an independent record label that has helped them launch their music careers, has been sued for SA allegations. Yes, that's right. You heard it. Top Dog Entertainment and some of their executive and employees have been sued for allegations of SA. I swear, if it ain't one thing, it is another. I think they trying to now. The crazy thing about this lawsuit is that this lawsuit was filed back in December, but we didn't hear about it. Let's put it that way. I don't know who found it or whatever the case may be, but I was scrolling through my Instagram and I said, whoa, 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 whoa. I know this ain't so because it said Kendrick Lamar. So I had to tap on it and I had to read it. And I was like, oh, so his record label has been sued. Very interesting. I did pull up the court docket and notice that they have not been served a copy of this complaint yet. Actually, a motion for substitute service has been issued because I am assuming that personal service by a process server did not work out for them. So now they got to move to the next best option. So as of right now, they haven't been made aware of the lawsuit, but if they check the news as of 2 days ago, I think they're gonna find out. How this looks on SZA and Kendrick Lamar, I have no idea. I just went to go find this. I pulled this from the docket and I was like, okay, it's go time. Now, I did not read it, so I don't know what the SA allegations is. So we all going to get into it at the same darn time. Let's hop right on into it. All right, so this lawsuit is brought by Jane Doe and a Jane Roe. So, two female individuals filed a lawsuit against Top Dog Entertainment LLC, Brandon Tiffith, Anthony Tiffith Jr., David Harrell, and Doe's 1 to 10. So y'all know if any other individuals come up in a lawsuit, then they're going to amend the complaints in order to add them to there. So okay, so this is a complaint for damages and they are requesting a jury trial. All right, it reads Introduction. Defendant Top Dog Entertainment is an independent record label specializing in hip hop and R&B artists, best known for launching the careers of several prominent artists, and I named Kendrick Lamar and SZA to be some of them. Plaintiff Jane Doe was hired to perform public relations and marketing services for TDE. During the course of her performance of work for TDE, she was subject to inappropriate workplace behavior, including sexual harassment and assault by officers and executives of the company. Moreover, Ms. Doe was not adequately compensated for her services she performed for TDE, which reneged on its contract for payment and refused to pay her what she was owed. Plaintiff Jane Roe was a friend to one of the artists signed by TDE, hereinafter Artist A. In exchange for her providing moral support for Artist A, TDE provided her room and board at a house owned by TDE that doubled as a studio. During her stay at the TDE property, Ms. Rowe was sexually harassed twice by TDE employees, one of whom gave her alcohol despite her being underage, in an attempt for further sexual advances. Oh, this is not good. This is not good. This is not good at all. TDE's leadership knew about these instances of sexual abuse as well as the failure to properly compensate Ms. Doe, yet took no action to prevent further violations, discipline the individuals involved, or offer supportive services to plaintiffs. This is not a good look. Now, it doesn't have a direct effect on Kendrick or SZA or any other artists, but the fact that your record label, your top people, your executives Why did y'all do this before Super Bowl? Because you know how people are going to feel. You do have those out there that are probably going to say, cancel everybody. Good, good. Let me see. So, top dog. All right. So, Brandon Tiffith is the CMO, the Chief Marketing Officer of TDE. Anthony Tiffith Jr. is the president of TDE, and he goes by the pseudonym Musa. Why have I heard that name before? David Harrell is an employee of TDE and also resides in Los Angeles County. All right, so let's get to allegations. All right, so professional services and unpaid compensation owed to Jane Doe. In 2017, Mr. Tiff Jr. initiated discussions with Ms. Doe about joining TDE to handle public relations and brand marketing. In 2019, he formally engaged her services to work with artist A, agreeing to compensate her at a monthly rate. Oh, now I'm pretty sure everybody probably about to do their research to see who this is. TDE did not compensate Ms. Doe at the agreed upon rate. Finally, in May of 2020, defendant Tiffith Jr. acknowledged the financial constraints had prevented him from properly compensating Ms. Doe as agreed, and instead offered her a co management position for Artist A in exchange for a 10% management fee. That is 10% of the total compensation the artist received upon signing a record deal. Ms. Doe and Mr. Tiffith Jr. agreed that this 10% would be consideration for past uncompensated services that Ms. Doe had performed for TDE. In March of 2023, artist A signed a deal with Warner Records for a multi million-dollar figure. However, TDE refused to provide Ms. Doe with a agreed upon 10% management fee compensation. You know what, people? As soon as we hang up from here, I'm about to look at what artist signed in 2023 in March. Sexual battery and harassment of Jane Doe. In 2021 of January, Ms. Doe was the victim of sexual battery perpetrated by defendant Brandon Tiffith. Tiffith made unwelcome sexual advances, forcefully removed Ms. Doe's clothing, and attempted to forcibly engage in sexual intercourse and oral sex without consent. Ms. Doe was also subject to ongoing sexual harassment by defendant Anthony Tiffith Jr. throughout her tenure providing services for TDE. This harassment, including unwelcome romantic overtures, inappropriate comments suggesting she utilized sexual favors for professional gain, and the unsolicited sharing of explicit material, including a video of an individual engaging in intimate activities with another woman. Mr. Tiffith Jr. also used Miss Doe's home as a covert location at which to cheat on his partner, bringing various women to the home and engaging in sex with them in Miss Doe's guest bedroom. What is with these executives and these owners of these record labels in sexual assault and harassment of Jane Roe? In late 2020, Plaintiff Rowe, a friend of artist A, moved to California to provide her more support in her career. TDE considered this a valuable service, and in exchange for her support, artist A, TDE provided Ms. Rowe with room and board in a TDE owned property. While residing there, Ms. Rowe was subjected to multiple instances of sexual harassment and assault by TDE employees. In November or December of 2020, a TDE employee known as Dawg approached Miss Rowe from behind in the kitchen and without consent rubbed his genitalia against her buttocks on two separate occasions. In January of 2021, defendant David Harrell was asked by an artist A to drive Miss Rowe to the TDE studio. On the way, Mr. Harrell stated that he needed to stop at his home to grab some documents for Mr. Tiffith Jr. After bringing Miss Rowe inside, he coerced her into consuming an alcoholic beverage, despite knowing she was under the age of 21. After Mr. Rowe had consumed, well, supposed to say Miss. After Miss Rowe had consumed the beverage, Mr. Harrell began taking off Miss Rowe's clothes without her consent and attempted to force himself onto her to engage in sexual activity. Miss Rowe was able to escape and ran out of the home. Mm. First cause of action: sexual harassment. Plaintiff Doe entered a service relationship with defendants TDE. Under that, defendants would provide compensation for her services provided by plaintiff. Defendants intentionally made unconsented sexual advances toward plaintiff and engaged in verbal and visual conduct of a sexual nature based on gender, because they wouldn't have done that to a man. Their conduct was unwelcoming and pervasive. Um, It says defendant Tiffith Jr. and Tiffith's conduct was ratified by defendant TDE, which had knowledge of said conduct but took no actions to prevent it. So, because they are employees or executives of Top Dog Entertainment, I'm assuming that because Jane Doe and Jane Roe went to them and say, "Hey, this has happened," they did nothing in regards to rectifying the situation. It states that they were managing agents of TDE. Um, Rowe entered into a service relationship with defendant TDE, under which defendant was going to provide her with room and board services. Over the course of this relationship, defendant David Harrell and B Dog made unconsented sexual advances toward plaintiff. B Dog engaged in physical conduct of a sexual nature. Harrell and Big Dog's conduct was unwelcoming, pervasive, and severe. Defendant Harrell and B Dog's conduct was ratified by defendant TDE, which had knowledge of said conduct but took no actions to prevent it. At all times, defendant Harrell and Big Dog were defendants or agents of TDE. Plaintiff has suffered, both of them suffered and continues to suffer from emotional distress. They have also sustained an economic disadvantage. Battery. Brandon Tiffith touched Plaintiff Doe with the intent to harm or offend her. Plaintiff Doe did not consent to the touching. Plaintiff Doe was harmed and offended by the touching. A reasonable person in Plaintiff Doe's situation would have been offended by the touching. At all times, Defendant Tiffith was a managing agent of Defendant TDE. Defendant Tiffith's conduct was ratified by Defendant TDE, which had knowledge of the said conduct but took no actions to prevent it. B Dog touched Plaintiff Rowe with the intent to harm or offend her. Plaintiff Rowe did not consent to the touching. She was harmed and offended by the touching. A reasonable person in her situation would have been offended by the touching. B Dog was an agent of defendant TDE. B Dog's conduct was ratified by defendant TDE, which had knowledge of said conduct but took no actions to prevent it. Both plaintiffs have suffered and continue to suffer from emotional distress and have suffered a violation of their rights to be free from sexually unwanted conduct in a manner that constitutes oppression and malice, entitling plaintiffs to punitive damages. Assault. Brandon Tiffith used force in attempt to engage in sexual acts with plaintiff Doe. Plaintiff Doe, let me see. It says it reasonably appeared to plaintiff Doe that defendant Tiffith was about to carry out the sexual acts. Plaintiff Doe did not consent to his acts. Defendant Tiffith was a managing agent of TDE. His conduct was ratified by TDE, which had knowledge of the said conduct but took no actions to prevent it. B Dog used force in attempt to engage in sexual acts with plaintiff Rowe. It is reasonably appeared to plaintiff Rowe that B Dog was about to carry out the actual acts. Plaintiff Rowe did not consent to his conduct. He was an agent of TDE. His conduct was ratified by TDE, which they had the knowledge but took no actions to prevent it. Once again, plaintiffs suffered and continues to suffer from emotional distress and have suffered a violation of their rights to be free from actually unwanted conduct in a manner that constitutes oppression and malice, entitling plaintiffs to punitive damages. Fourth cause of action, negligence. TDE, the company, had a duty to protect plaintiffs from unwanted and harassing conduct by its employees. Such duty was based on the special relationship between plaintiffs and defendant, TDE, and the agency relationship between TDE and its employees. TDE knew or should have known that its employees and managing agents were likely to engage in unwanted and harassing conduct of plaintiffs. By failing to protect plaintiffs from unwanted and harassing conduct by TDE's employees and managing agents, TDE breached its duty. As a result, plaintiffs have suffered and continue to suffer emotional distress. They suffer, which is a violation of their rights to be free from actually unwanted conduct in a manner that constitutes oppression and malice, entitling them to punitive damages. Breach of contract. You didn't even pay these ladies. Plaintiff and defendant TDE entered into a contract under which plaintiff would perform services in exchange for compensation in the amount of 10% of the record deal signed by the TDE artist she co-managed. Defendant Anthony Tiffith Jr., who is the president of the company, entered into that agreement on behalf of TDE. The plaintiff performed all of the services of the contract as required. TDE failed to compensate her per the terms of that contract. Therefore, plaintiff was economically harmed and she was not financially compensated for the time and resources she spent performing contractual services. TDE's breach of contract was a substantial factor in causing plaintiff harm. They're praying for actual and compensatory damages according to the proof pursuant to all applicable laws and regulations. So I hope they do have a contract, not a well, yeah, I hope they do have their contract that shows this, because even though you can use oral contracts, it is best to have something tangible, something that you can read, something with signatures on there. Okay. Civil and statutory penalties available under applicable law, prejudgment and post-judgment interest, punitive damages, award of attorney's fees, costs, and expenses as authorized by applicable law, for such other and further relief as the court may deem just and proper, and for trial by jury on all causes of action so triable. And this was filed on the 3rd of December. Hold on, let me just go here. So the file date, they submitted it on the 3rd, but it was actually filed on December 6th. As I said prior to this, we all know that Kendrick and SZA and a lot more artists are going to be present at the Super Bowl. Um, by this being filed, I don't want to say it's hush hush, but we didn't know about it. And if you go on the internet, you will see that, like if you just do a Google search or just type in TDE and you'll just see like a day ago or 2 days ago, this was brought to light. Nobody really knew. Why is it coming out now? I don't know. My opinion, the Super Bowl is coming up in about less than a week. And so I think they want to do everything to kind of take away the attention of, Kendrick Lamar, because this rat beef is just crazy. And then some people are going to speculate, well, Drake had something to do with this. I don't think so. I don't think so. We have to start holding these individuals, these executives, accountable for their actions. Okay. We may not believe Jane Doe or Jane Roe. However, we have to give people the benefit of the doubt. Okay. That's why victims don't like to come forward, because they are always ridiculed about something. Or you have people bashing them because they saying, well, that didn't happen to you, why you didn't say anything, blase blase blase. And hey, down the line during litigation, it may come out that they telling a bold-faced lie. We don't know, but we have to give them the opportunity to litigate this case. But y'all let me know about y'all thoughts on this one in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until then, you all be blessed, and I'm out. Bye.